T1 is a hard place to play. If like I could go back with hindsight being 2020 and like fix the wrongs or like the mistakes I made, this year will be kind of a home ground weekend. So a 3-day event versus a 1-day event. Yeah, so home ground will be at Hi, 안녕하세요. I'm Joe Marsh. I'm the CEO of T1. Good to see you. Yeah, I mean, for me, I had a lot of personal stuff going on back home, so it was a pretty last-minute trip. I didn't know I was coming until about a couple of days before I actually left to come to Korea. Unfortunately, I was a jinx for the game one, but we didn't win. But no, it was. It's kind of the opening season for both League and Valorant, so it was kind of a good week to come. I haven't been to Korea in a minute because I was here for home ground in the summer. Then I was off at EWC with the players, and then we had Worlds over in Europe. So it was my first chance to kind of get back to Korea in a few months. So it was good to kind of get back, and we're working on a lot of different things for 2025. So kind of dotting some I's and crossing some T's to get those over the finish line. Yeah, obviously to see the teams play was the main reason to come see them to start the season, and then really trying to get home ground buttoned up. We just got the verbal agreement on our facility for home ground, so we were getting that done. That was a big lift for us because it's a huge event for us in 2025. And then also just meeting with different T1 stakeholders to kind of make sure that we're all aligned with what we're trying to do for a big 2025 coming off back-to-back World Championships, and then hopefully a really successful Valorant year, as well as kind of a strong performance again at EWC. This year will be kind of a home ground weekend, so a 3-day event versus a 1-day event. We're looking to do 2 League of Legends matches and then 1 Valorant one as well. So we're still trying to make sure all the Riot parties are on board, but the venue size would be 15,000 seats is the capacity, so much like double the size of last year. So really excited about that. We've pushed Riot a lot to have more of these types of events for T1 because we have the fandom to support doing these live events. And as teams look for new revenue streams, we feel at T1 that's a big one for us. Unfortunately, we weren't given that opportunity this year from the LCK. They kind of really limited us. There was only 2 different weekends they were looking to do. So I hope that us showing them big success at our home ground this summer will allow them to grant us the 4 weekends that we requested for 2026. Because I think for us, we're at a point in our life cycle as an organization that we feel a 450 seat venue is too small for what we bring to the table. We want to give fans a lot of opportunities to see us, and the tickets are so competitive to get to go to Lowell Park because it's such a little venue. We feel that the home ground events will give us a chance to get more T1 fans, and we have the biggest fandom in Korea, one of the biggest fandoms in the world. We really want to give more people opportunities to come to our events, to kind of bridge of what they currently do at the LCK and then where they are for World Finals, kind of somewhere in between that. We're not trying to be World Finals where they kind of go crazy, but we want to do a little bit more for the in-person experience versus Lowell Park. So hopefully Riot sees it the way we do. Yeah, so home ground will be at Inspire Arena up in Incheon, right next to the airport. So hopefully it's a good location for both local fans in Korea, but also international fans. They can kind of fly right into Incheon and go right to the venue. So we're really excited about it. I think you're looking at a League Friday, Sunday, and then Valorant on Saturday. So, but really excited about selling out that venue for 3 nights. And we're looking at ways to possibly incorporate music if it's possible. Again, but we're prioritizing the gaming fandom first, but if we can integrate music, which we all love music and it's kind of the soundtrack to our lives, that would be awesome too. But we're really excited, and to have that big of a venue, one of the newer venues in Korea, really, really excited for the show we can put on there. Yeah, so Inspire was a partner of ours last year in 2024. Kind of, they were on our uniform. You know, it was always where I wanted to go. I just thought it was a good mix of having a newer venue, newest technology. And then when we began having conversations with Inspire about kind of hosting home ground, you know, we talked about it last year with them, just couldn't make it work on the time frame. But this year we started early enough where, you know, it's as part of their partnership with us, the main focus is that live event. You know, they were kind of already a partner, so it was actually easier to have those conversations. And I think having seen the success of the Valorant event at their venue last year, kind of seeing what T1 can bring to the table from an eyeball perspective and fandom, and you know, being on our uniform and everything, kind of a no-brainer for both parties. And hopefully we can have a massive event, and then we can kind of make that the T1's home stadium for kind of all these events going forward. You know, we're not going to build our own venue, but having a partner that has a great facility, that has an infrastructure for, you know, hotel stays, you know, near entertainment, airport, all important when you're trying to bring kind of that global fandom to enjoy a live event for us. So yeah, it was a great experience. No, they haven't been finalized just yet. Valorant side's a little different. We're kind of waiting on the VCT, kind of see who will be afforded to us. Obviously, if I got to pick who I wanted to play for Valorant, and set a division would be a really great one. They have a huge fandom in the Pacific, and I think kind of they've been great to work with. We've done some stuff with them in the off season, and they'd be my first kind of choice. Just because that what they can bring a lot of fans to the event. And then if I had to pick somebody else, probably Paper Rex, who we're playing tonight when this is being filmed. But and then third, our neighbors in the alley, a couple blocks away here in Genji would always be nice to beat them. And then on the league side, no, we just had a couple of declinees, and then we're just kind of in the final stages with some of the other teams that are willing to actually step up and play in a big event and kind of grow the scene and do their part. So we'll see. Hopefully we'll finalize pretty soon, but yeah. I don't know first to try. I think obviously home ground was a big one for us last year, and I think you're seeing other teams. I think Carmine Corp might do an event this year. So other teams in other regions are doing events. For us with home ground, we want to do multiple events, right? I think that's the kind of the next stage for us, is to have kind of multiple weekends a year, kind of to do that, to give us that revenue stream, you know, streams that we lose with DDoS happening to us. You know, for us, the main focus for us right now really is kind of expanding T1 Basecamp, which is our PC Bong, and you know, we have a couple of other locations picked out. The one in Hongdae is doing really well. So we want to have those spread out throughout Korea, and then possibly throughout Southeast Asia. But those are the main focuses for us. We don't want to spread ourselves too thin. Like, we want to, you know, if we're going to do something, we want to do it really, really well. I think over the past, you know, 5.5 years, we've kind of done that. That's why you see us enter in and out of games, because we want to make sure that if we're going to be in a game, we're going to compete. We don't want to, you know, do home ground this year and then try something different. We toe dipped. If you looked at the evolution of T1 with our live events, T1 Con was kind of our first kind of foray into like, can we do a live event? And back then, the only window we had is the off season. So it was like, okay, but what we figured is, and those were only 1,000 people, right? And we figured we need games to really kind of take it to the next level. So that's kind of what home ground became. As T1 Con grew into T1 home ground. Now the initial T1 home ground is now a weekend of home ground. So how do you get multiple weekends? So that's kind of the big focus for us, is kind of just growing kind of what we have in our bucket and just making it better. Growing our esports academy, expanding there, just kind of really cultivating kind of what we already have and just growing that. Year over year, 2023 to 2024, we grew revenue 55% and student enrollment grew 52%. So I think we're at 250 students in the different programs. We're kind of out of space. We're kind of at capacity for like what the little building next to the main HQ can do. So we have a piece of real estate kind of picked out right now to kind of expand to grow the player base there for the academy. You know, I think for us, the focus with the academy too is the Valorant players for the academy have gone up significantly, and I think that'll only grow with the success of our Valorant team. But for the League of Legends, we want to grow that as well because a lot of the current students are a little bit older. And I think, long term for us, we want to get kids in the system like we had a few years ago where you bring a bunch of them up through the pipeline at the kind of the same time, right? Whether it's the O2 class or things like that. So, finding the next kind of young up and coming player. That's why we're kind of working on the Faker scholarship for some players to go with a full ride to our academy and then have the opportunity to go into our rookie team and hopefully the challengers team. So yeah, just really trying to expand the player base. Eventually, and when we expand to the facility, there's opportunity to do more games. So you're looking at TFT, possibly Overwatch, maybe there's PUBG in there again. Right now, Marvel Rivals is a big game, and it doesn't have a pro scene yet, but usually when the player base kind of grows as quick as Marvel Rivals has been doing, there's opportunity there. And then again, eventually, like, we keep trying to explore CS and Counter-Strike and finding ways to do it the right way. Haven't figured that one out yet. It'll definitely have to be over kind of in the West, whether it's in Europe or South America or North America. But still trying to figure that one out. But yeah, that'd be a game that it's always the most fun esport to watch, and would be eventually really cool to kind of get in. It's an older scene too, and a lot of the best players are kind of already taken, so we'd really have to figure out where we could make a difference in that sense. I think a big part of it falls on Riot or whatever publisher that you're working with. There's only so much teams can do because we don't control a lot of the real estate. Most of the publishers control their games, they outsource them out to third parties to produce them. The biggest area of opportunity for us is in-game kind of cosmetics and skins. You see the success of that in games like Dota and CS. Teams that are fortunate to win Worlds, we reap the benefit of that, as do the players. But that's the biggest area, and I think you're seeing Riot kind of the success of what Valorant did with kind of their partnership opportunities and the way that the metrics work there. That's a good model. I think League is trying to do something similar this year, so we'll see if that's successful. I think for us, we feel home ground in live events, especially for the bigger teams that have fandoms that can fill venues like the Carmine Corps or Fnatic, G2, and any of the LPL teams. We think that can be a bridge to earn revenue because you look at kind of the top line and bottom line of what a home ground can do, and if the production standards kind of aren't so rigid and expensive, and we prioritize more of the in-person experience for those specific weekends, it could be a nice profit center for teams that are willing to take the P&L risk to kind of host an event and everything that comes with that, renting a venue, selling tickets, and that'll be a big revenue stream. I think most of what we're doing now is, you look at a lot of the other businesses that we have at T1, and we kind of have a hub and spoke model of the T1 logo at the center and then all the different businesses off of it. Like when I got here in 2019, we were definitely just an esports team, right? Like we didn't sell merchandise. We barely had many sponsors because it was all internal as part of a marketing arm with SKT. We didn't have an esports academy. Our facility was in Ilsan. We didn't have a kind of a central hub where fans can kind of gather. And fast forward to kind of where we are now in 2025, we have a really thriving merchandise business that we're looking to expand. We're pretty close to signing a partnership in Europe, so we're kind of expanding our offerings there. We're trying to find an opportunity to expand kind of similar to what we're doing in Europe in Vietnam and the Philippines, because of the cost of kind of shipping for the fans trying to buy there, then the taxes. We're just trying to find localized opportunities there. So, but that's a thriving business for us on the merch side. Our esports academy is doing really well. Our PC Bong is probably #1 in South Korea. That's an opportunity for expansion. Our fan platform, T1.fan, which didn't exist, we went first. We were the first mover there in Korea. And now if you look at pretty much all the other teams, they're doing a fan platform now. For us, we can't just stay stagnant. Like, we don't want to just exist as an esports team. We want to be a thriving company that can stand on its own 2 feet. And I think that's what we've been trying to set the ground for the past few years. But we really need the publishers at the end of the day to really kind of have a sustainable system where teams can be rewarded, especially if you're driving viewership for the specific game in question. I think you look at the numbers that Esports Charts put out this past year. I think T1 was the most watched team in the world with our League of Legends team. We were the most watched org in the world, I think 2 years running now, maybe 3 years in a row because we made finals. Obviously winning kind of helps with that, with having more big time games and being in front of fans more. We shouldn't be held back from opportunities because you're trying to make the system equal for everyone. It's not equal. I'm hopeful that Riot will heed our kind of calls to give us more opportunity to kind of grow what we're trying to do and allow us to thrive a little bit. I feel like we've done well for them, and we're just hoping for some reciprocation there. But yeah, we've just been trying to do the right thing by all stakeholders, but it's kind of a team effort. It's not just on what T1 can do, it's kind of what Riot or other publishers can help us with to kind of grow. Yeah, no, for sure. I think we're last year was our biggest year ever, and I think this 2025 will be even bigger. I think you have to look at when I got to T1 in late 2019 when the joint venture happened with SK and Comcast, we got a couple of teams and no employees. Other than the teams, we had to staff up the entire organization. We were building everything from scratch, including the building that we're sitting in today. Then COVID happened too. So we were doing all of that while the world was shutting down, and then slowly putting everything into place, all the different revenue streams, figuring out long-term team success of how we were gonna make that work, how are we gonna bring back the glory days of 13, 15, and 16, right? Trial and error a little bit. I think if I could go back with hindsight being 2020 and fix the wrongs of the mistakes I made, yeah, it'd be great, and we probably would have got here slightly faster. But I think for me and the staff, the bumps along the way kind of helped us kind of get to where we were gonna go. I think even if you look at 2022 or even 21, we lose in semifinals at Worlds in Iceland to DK, and then we lose in the finals the next year. I think it's a much different kind of 2023, 2024 if we actually ended up winning 2022. I think everything would have been different. I think everyone needed to learn how to fail because we were so confident that we weren't. And I think learning how to lose is just as important than learning how to win. But yeah, no, we're the healthiest we've been as a company. Obviously winning certainly helps, and the fan support, especially with those big milestone events, is huge for us. We've kind of are slowly solving the Rubik's Cube of how to make a game team or a gaming business thrive and be healthy. And we're as an org, we're finding even ways to give back to our communities, and we have a big meeting coming up on that. And we're hitting our stride finally. It just took probably longer than we would have assumed, but I feel like we're finally in a healthy spot. Well, it's being competitive in those games. I think for us, if you're gonna be wearing the T1 jersey, you have to compete. And if we're not gonna compete at the highest level or get the best players, we don't wanna be in the game just to kind of exist, right? We don't wanna be 15th place. So I think you always see a life cycle where we kind of cycle in and out the teams. It's kind of a matter of are we able to compete, yes or no? If yes, we'll keep investing. If not, we get out. I don't just want to have teams. There's no value in having 20 teams if we're not going to be good at 20 games. So I'd rather have less teams and be more successful with the teams I have because for us at the end of the day, it's about winning. I mean, even you look at League, we haven't won a domestic title in some time, but I think anyone would take the resume that we have the past few years of winning Worlds. And winning Worlds is what matters the most. Everything else in between is cool and nice, but being the last team standing when the last prize is being awarded, that's kind of why we exist as an organization, and that's the traditions that we want to uphold. I think on the league side, being in finals 3 straight years, kind of running the gauntlet through Worlds, our partnerships with big companies, you look at Mercedes-Benz, you look at Red Bull, we've done a good job of kind of cultivating that. We were just in Paris in December for a League of Their Own with Red Bull. We were in Germany the year before. For us, kind of having success in the competitive stage has kind of grown our fandom even more. And people that were fans of T1 from back in 2013 in France or whatever, especially the crowd in France this year was really awesome to see because They were very pro T1, and you could feel that. And I think the players felt it too, which is kind of the atmosphere when we were taking on Gen G and beating them. I think that was a really cool moment. You know, we're like I said, we're one of the most watched teams in the world, a testament to kind of the consistency of the organization and the high level. And obviously having Faker certainly helps. Having Faker is not enough, right? Like you have to make sure that you're growing not only him, but his teammates, the organization, other games we're going into. So yeah, I think just competing at the different events on a global scale, super helpful. I do like when Riot goes to the different regions because it helps us meet new fans, and yeah. T1 is a hard place to play, and I think it's not for everyone. And the fact that Doran wanted to come to T1, I think speaks volumes to his character and to his mindset. You need a really strong mindset to play at T1. The expectations are great. You know, the opportunities here are amazing, and I think you saw the fandom rally around Doran, you know, and grew his personal social channels, kind of really supporting the merchandise he was wearing or his content that he was in. It takes a really specific type of person to want to play here, and not only play here, but play at the level that you need to play at to be at T1. With Doran coming in, our expectations don't change, right? I think the goal every year is to win a world championship. What happens in between the end of free agency and the Nexus falling at Worlds, as long as we're the last person standing, that's what matters us most. I think for our fans, we give them gray hair because if you look at how we are at the regular season, we are very much kind of a roller coaster ride. I would say to that, don't get so worried about the ups and downs. For us as an org, and what Coma preaches, and Tom and now Mata, we want to be the best team in November, not in January. Everything that we do as an organization is to be the best when it matters the most, when the lights are the brightest. And it doesn't always look pretty, and it's frustrating. And I as a fan myself, I've probably aged 10 extra years kind of having lived it, running T1, and I can only imagine the fans have kind of lived it as well. But for us, you know, for players that come in, you know, like Doran and even our challengers players, right? Like you saw Reckless come in last year. Smash has done a great job, and Reckless spoke highly of him. And I think for us, enjoy the rides. And I think like I've especially over the past few years kind of appreciate the journey of it all more. It's frustrating and it's like taxing on you while you're in it. But then when you get that 5-minute opportunity to reflect on the prior year, you know, and for us, obviously winning is you reflect positively. But again, all the hard moments from 2021 and 2022 and everything that we've been through as an organization, I think I've learned to appreciate the little moments along the way. I try to enjoy it more because it's an empty feeling when you win and you're like, oh, how am I gonna do it again? I always appreciate players that want to take a chance to come here because it's a lot to deal with, but the upside and individual rewards that they receive from being part of T1 and the prestige of the org and also the work the players put in, it sets them up for long-term future financial success and fandom and stardom, which they're gonna need because once their pro careers are over, and I think you've seen what we do at T1, we bring a lot of our older players back into the fold. I don't just wanna give them opportunities when they're useful to me when they're playing. I wanna make sure that they're good young men, that they're good people in the community, and that they take care of their families, and they have opportunities when they're done being pros. Everything we do to make sure they get there is kind of part of our success and our formula. But yeah, so thanks, Doran, for coming. I think my relationship with Faker and his family has grown. I think it's been a kind of a core tenet of my time at T1, you know, having the opportunity to re-sign him multiple times. And I think seeing Sang-hyuk from where he was in 2019, you know, as I got here at Worlds was like when I started at T1. So kind of being a part of that ride and the super team that we had and falling short in Spain that year to kind of where he is now. I think finally winning again after a long period of not has really kind of lifted the weight off of him, because I think he knew in his mind and in his soul that he had more winning in him and that he wanted to prove to the world, and he's done that. He feels lighter now. I think if he's just looking at the content you see now, he's enjoying all of this a lot more. But he's been such a tremendous ambassador, not only for T1, but for League of Legends and esports in general. We're lucky as an org to have someone like that. Is so unselfish. If you look at kind of the way his career progression has gone, where when he came in 2013 and was a superstar, and they changed the game itself, the actual game, to make it harder for someone like Faker to dominate. It's very akin to what happened in golf with Tiger Woods when he came along, right? They changed the courses and things. I think you've seen the evolution of Faker from being the youngest player on the team to being a global ambassador and superstar to now being the young for his younger teammates and being the leader and captain of our organization. You know, I'm super thankful for how he handles himself, because it makes all of our jobs that much easier when he's such a pro. He takes pride in being, doing things the right way and giving back and being in the community in ways that matter and that are meaningful to him. It's a lot. I think a lot of the kids saw a glimpse of that for themselves once we won Worlds. Like, they saw what he goes through on a daily basis, right? Because now for them, they're just as recognizable, right? Because they've been winning so much and they're out in the community, they're out and about. Like, they're seeing the pressures that he's endured for so long as a kind of a global ambassador. And I think, you know, I'm appreciative of the way he carries himself, not only outward facing, but how he handles himself in the building in the moments that no one else sees. It's inspiring, and it's also super helpful for players that come in to play with us to see how you should operate and how you should do things the right way. Because again, it goes back to you take care of the little things, the big things take care of themselves, and Faker's a shining example of that. He puts the work in, he puts the long hours in, and he's able to harvest those fruits at the end of November every year, and that's all you could ask for. And I think, you know, for someone like him who's at an advanced age in the terms of gaming, you know, he says he wants to play till he's 30 or 30 plus, and honestly, he can, because of the preparation and the way he takes care of his body, his mind, the way he fuels himself. As you get older, right, you can't just pop up and go play. Like, you have a stretching routine now. Like, all these little things you add to your kind of repertoire, the meditation, those are things that you need to compete as you get older. And I think he's doing those little things. So yeah, I mean, for me, it's been awesome just to see him work, to be around greatness like that. Like, it's once in a lifetime, right? Like, you don't get to hang out with Michael Jordan very often. And like, I'm fortunate enough to have a front row seat. That's awesome for me, right? So, and you can take what he does on the gaming side into business. And I think, you know, we try to do that. We try to, you know, bring in the right partners and just do things the right way and bring in staff that can help cultivate that. So yeah, it's been great to kind of, you know, develop a relationship with him, to watch him work, watch him do his craft. And I hope for that can happen for many more years. Yeah, I would say, again, thank you so much for what you did this off season. I think we aren't able to do half the things we did if the support wasn't there from the fans. So thank you so much. Really appreciate you opening your arms to Doran and welcoming him to the family. I think it's so important to feel welcomed, especially with the player he was replacing as a legend at T1 and will always be part of our family. To be welcomed with open arms is really helpful for him as he finds his footing in the T1 circus and how our play style is going to be. Enjoy the year. Don't, like me, I try to tell myself, don't get so hung up on kind of the ups and downs. We're going to have them. It's going to be a weird first few months as we kind of experiment and just try to, you know, get our footing and get our minds right. So just enjoy the ride. Put your trust in kind of what Coma and Tom and Mata are doing, as along with Becker. It'll all be okay in the end. Continue to support the players as well as the organization. We appreciate it. Hope to see everyone at home ground in the summer. I think it'll be a really great event. Great for you guys to see each other as fans, but also to see the players and what we're doing as an org and just continuing to support us. So thank you so much. But yeah, enjoy the ride, enjoy the waves. 2025 is not 2024, 2023. It'll be a different year. And you know, we're gonna try some things and experiment a bit, and just know that our coaches have a plan, and you know, we'll be okay. So thank you so much for supporting us.